Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode from IELTS Target Bands. Today's episode will be about both academic and general training writing, and we'll focus on how to get Band 5 in the writing test. As usual, we'll talk about each marking criterion in turn, what exactly they say, and what exactly they mean. So, how you can achieve Band 5. So, let's get started. For Band 5, we have task achievement if you're taking used to assess task 1, and task response used to assess task 2. Both of them equally apply for academic and general training. So let's start with task achievement. For task 1, what does the band descriptor say? Addresses the task only partially. The format may be inappropriate in places. This is for academic. Recounts detail mechanically with no clear overview. There may be no data to support the description. For general training, may present a purpose for the letter that is unclear at times. The tone may be variable and sometimes inappropriate, and for both academic and general training, presents but inadequately covers key features or bullet points, and there may be a tendency to focus on details. Okay, what does this mean? So for task achievement here, it means that the writing doesn't answer all the points or doesn't include all required information. So if we're talking about a letter, it means that it doesn't answer all the bullet points in the question. And if it doesn't include all the required information, and if we're talking the academic writing task 1, it doesn't have an overview, it doesn't have body paragraphs. So, or the information that you have presented in either the letter or the report is not enough. Also, the writing doesn't make a connection between details and the overall view. Um, Here it means that you haven't connected the paragraphs to the overview, and the level of formality may be wrong. It means that if you're taking the general training module and you have to write a letter, you're not using the correct register or style. So maybe you're using an informal tone or register for a formal letter, or maybe you're doing the vice versa, using a very formal tone for a friendly letter. And here it applies to both situations. The candidate may not use an appropriate layout, which means that you have used bullet points or you haven't used paragraphs, so it's not continuous writing. Moving on to task response, and this is used for assessing task 2, the band descriptor goes like this: addresses the task only partially. The format may be inappropriate in places, expresses a position, but the development is not always clear, and there may be no conclusions drawn. Presents some main ideas, but these are limited and not sufficiently developed. There may be irrelevant detail. What does it mean? It means that the writing doesn't answer again all the points raised in the question. Maybe you have forgotten to write the conclusion, or maybe the introduction is not really relevant. You've just simply copied word for word from the question. The candidate doesn't clearly develop arguments, might not have a conclusion, as I said, might not use an appropriate layout, or might include irrelevant points in the writing. So this is what task response is all about. We're moving on to coherence and cohesion, which is the same for both academic and general. And the band descriptor goes like this: presents information with some organization, but there may be a lack of overall progression, makes inadequate, inaccurate, or overuse of cohesive devices, may be repetitive because of lack of referencing and substitution, and here for task 2, for the essay, may not write in paragraphs, or paragraphing may be inadequate. What does it mean? It means that organization is insufficient and the points or the paragraphs may not follow on from each other. So there's no coherence and no cohesion. They don't connect to one another. There are problems with the use of connectives. here the candidate may be using the same words and again instead of using other words. For example, using references. Instead of repeating the same words, you can use it, they, and this. And the overuse of cohesive devices, there are some situations in which candidates simply overuse um, cohesive devices or connective linking devices just because they've learned them and they want to show off. And this is not the point. We're moving on to the next one, um, lexical resource, which is the vocabulary. And the band description goes like this: uses a limited range of vocabulary, but this is minimally adequate for the task. May make noticeable errors in spelling and or word formation that may cause some difficulty to the reader. What does it mean? It means that the candidate just has just enough vocabulary to answer the question, but doesn't go um, beyond the average. So it has a limited range of vocabulary, as simple as that. And because it has a very limited vocabulary, then this is why you have spelling mistakes. And now we're moving on to the last one, grammatical range and accuracy. The band descriptor goes like this: uses only a limited range of structures, attempts complex sentences, but these tend to be less accurate than simple sentences, may make frequent grammatical errors, and punctuation may be faulty, and errors can cause some difficulty for the reader. What does it mean? It means that the candidate mostly uses simple structures with a few complex structures. Um, and when I'm saying complex structures, I'm talking about containing clauses or conditional sentences. There are lots of grammatical mistakes which can make it hard for the examiner to understand the points. And there may also be problems with common punctuation marks, for example, commas and full stops. So to summarize, you may ask yourself, what do I do to get band 5? Well, first of all, make sure you answer at least part of the question. I mean, try to make sure that you answer the question fully. Then, try to get the organization and paragraphing right. But again, don't worry about too much. Don't write that much into bullet point. Try to use continuous form. At least make sure that your main points are reasonable, clear. Try to use a variety of connectives, but avoid using a few over and over. And again, here you don't have to worry too much about making mistakes with them. Make sure you have enough vocabulary to make basic points. You can repeat the vocabulary throughout your writing if you have to, and your basic grammar should be okay. You can actually make numerous mistakes. You can use simple structures for most of your writing. Um, you can attempt um, at using a few complex structures, and you don't have to worry about making mistakes with them. And you don't have to worry too much about punctuation. And the same question, yeah, the same thing applies as in the previous episodes with speaking, but I need to get to band 5.5. Well, to get band 5.5, you need to achieve band 6 in one of the four criteria. And this is probably easiest to achieve in task achievement if you're taking task one, or task response if you're writing the essay. So basically, to answer the question fully, to have all parts of the report or the essay, or um, to do well in coherence and cohesion. So to make sure that the paragraphs follow on to each other and they're connected. For example, in task one, in the academic task one, make sure that what you're saying in the overview is found in the main body paragraphs in more details. And that would be all about um, writing, how to get band 5 in the writing test. I do hope you have now a better understanding of how to do and what you need to do to get band 5. Don't go anywhere, because in the next episode, we'll be talking about how to get band 6 in the writing test. Until next time, take care of yourselves and keep learning, keep exploring. Bye bye.